My name's Joe Garcia. I bought our house in 1994. There was, as we drove down into Pleasant Valley, there was like a canopy of trees. Um, and then it was neighborly. So I got to know families. It had been raining, and we had experienced, past floods. So we kind of, knew the routine, make sure the flashlights were on and monitor the weather. And it had stopped raining. Probably, I don't know, midnight, a little bit before, around that time frame, it had stopped raining. So, I went and told my son, just keep the flashlight. I'm going to stay up, watch the news a little bit longer. But it stopped raining. I checked, there was no water in the backyard. And I thought, we're going to be okay. So around, I don't know, maybe four-ish, maybe a little earlier, because the bulk of it that we felt was around 4:30. But my son came and said, "Mom, we're flooding." And I thought, it couldn't be, it's not raining anymore. So I stepped off my bed, and the carpet was wet. So my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandbabies, they were staying with me in the other end of the house. So I said, okay, we need to get out of here. Just grab an item, most important things. And he went into their room, and the water was already, I don't know, about a foot within minutes. And so he tried to step into the room, and we had an outlet on the bottom that he kind of got a little electrocuted. So he says, we can't get anything else. So I said, let's go. And so when they came into, and there was like in the kitchen area, I saw their van float by the window. I thought, we got to go. We got to the front door, and I thought, there's no way we can get through here. I looked outside, and the water was already to the doorknob. So, like I said, all of this happened within minutes, just so fast. So I told him, let's go to my bedroom. There's a windowsill outside my bedroom. We'll get out out the window. And so we got in there, and I said, you know what? We heard the neighbors already on the roof. I said, we have to get up on the roof. I said, you know what? I'm going to get on the truck, and you hand me the kids. And we'll get on the truck, and we'll climb up to the roof from the truck. Well, I was able to get on the truck. He handed me my 3-year-old grandson. And that's when it's like a current came and just washed the truck to the back. And we went, and it got lodged in a tree that we had in the back, and the fence that was between us and the neighbor's house. And I thought, okay, we're good. And then I yelled out to Joseph, and later I found out that he had been washed away with water, but we had a bush in the corner, so he was able to grab the bush and anchor himself with his heels in that corner. And as soon as he could, he swam back, found a table, and braced it on the porch pillar. And my daughter-in-law was on this windowsill with the baby, with baby Joseph, and with Ryan. He was 5. So Joseph was able to get to Ryan, threw him up on the roof, and then he got on the roof, and my daughter-in-law gave him the baby. So when she gave him the baby, the water rose again. So she wasn't able to get up on the roof, but she was able to stand up on the table that he had anchored there and held on to the porch beam. In the meantime, I was in the back, and the neighbors were saying, climb the tree. You can come up to our roof, climb the tree. And I thought about it, and I thought, There's no branches. I have a 3-year-old in one hand. Um, and then all of a sudden, it was, I don't know, there was a loud noise, like rumbling noise or something. And I thought, God, I need help. So at that time, I just saw this rope float up. So I thought, okay, this is my tool, you know. So I thought, I'm not losing my baby. If we go together. So I tied the rope around my under my arms, and I made like a loop, and I put it under his arms, and tied him to me. At that point, it was like the truck just flipped, like a current came. The truck flipped and went completely under. But when it did that, I had built a shed in the back, a storage shed. I saw the whole side of the shed just fly off. So, and I reached, because we went into the water, and I reached, and I felt, it was a 2x4, but I felt something. And I thought, I'm holding on. This is where I'm holding on. It seemed like an eternity. It seemed like for hours that we were there. And I could feel, at first, I couldn't see much because it was dark. It was around 4:30, 5 in the morning, and it was still dark. But the sky was clear. So I thought, as long as there's no more rain, as long as there's no more rain, but I could feel things just coming and bumping me in the back. And then my grandson said, Grandma, I'm cold. Because our heads were above the water. And so I thought, I need to get him out of the water. So I was able to look up, and with my finger, I kind of reached up and felt, okay, there's no water on the roof of the shed. So I told him, I'm going to try to loosen you and put you on the roof of the shed. And I said, but first we have to pray. And so I said, don't, I'm going to do it, And he was hanging on to my neck. And I remember it as if it was just yesterday that, because I had taught him how to pray. And he let go of my neck, and he said, in the name of the Father. I said, no, Grandma will pray. All you have to do is just listen to me. And so somehow I was able to loosen the rope enough to push him up to the top of the roof. So I sat him there, and then he said, Grandma, there's bugs here. I thought, poor baby, and thank God. And so when I looked up, I saw stars. It was a beautiful night. So I said, you know what? Let's connect the dots. Look up and let's connect the dots. So my son and I kept shouting back to each other. And he kept saying, because we couldn't see each other. But we kept reassuring, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. I've got Jairus, out of the water. But he couldn't see. He didn't know what was going on, and I couldn't see. And he says, I've got Ryan and the baby, and Alice on top of a table. She's okay. So, kind of reassuring. And we could hear, well, I could hear, people in the distance, screaming for help. It was horrible. So finally, it seemed like hours. I don't know, it must have been about, 8 in the morning or so. It was clearly daylight. Joseph says, Mom, help is on its way. I can hear the boat. And so, I started hearing, the motor, And then, Joseph, that's my son also, again, cussing up a storm. And I said, what happened? He says, idiots. They say the boat is flat.
What?
They have to go back. They cannot come get us. Because he kept telling them, because they couldn't see us, but they could see Ali. And he says, and he told him, no, no, no. Get my mom and my other son, get them first. We're okay. Get them first. But they couldn't even get them. They couldn't get anybody because, So we had to wait until they went back, got another rescue boat, and then came back. They went around the block. They picked up these two older ladies, and then they came through the green belt. So when they came through the green belt, they said, can you swim to us? It's like, so finally they got close enough to where they were able to get little Jairus off the roof of the shed. And then they, came, and of course I had the rope tied around me. So we had a hard time because, I couldn't move my arm, and so I ended up, finally when I was able to get in, I ended up with a long black rope burn on my arm. Not to mention all the bruises and stuff in the back. Because like I said, this happened around 4:30. By 5 o'clock we were already in the water. And it was clearly daylight when they came to pick us up, so way after 7:30, 8 o'clock, I don't know, it was hours, a long time. That was the beginning of a horrible experience for us. The rest of it was just dealing with bureaucracy, politics, red tape. After the first days, we were so sore, we couldn't even move. And then the infection set in, the rashes. We had to go see doctors and, so I don't know, it was several days later that we went in. That's when my brother measured how high the water had gotten, and then dealing with the watershed staff that, they wanted an empty shell. I did have an option, though, I have to say. They told me, if you want $1,500 more, we need an empty shell. So, well, I needed that money. So, I had to go back in and give them, take out what was no good. It's like, where's the empathy? This was not a building. This was our home. I gave my kids their own rooms. I gave my kids a home. Wow, it's validation of success. We had to pull the refrigerator out, cut the furniture in half, as much as we could, empty the house. I don't have any pictures of my dad anymore, because those were not on the wall. Those were in photo albums. So yeah, we lost everything, and we didn't have content insurance. We had insurance on the house, which was what we were supposed to have as part of the mortgage, but I'm a single parent raising 3 sons and paying mortgage, making car payment, and all the other things that come with having a family. I couldn't afford content insurance, so because I had flood insurance, the amount of the buyout was less. It's like, really? So I'm being punished for being responsible? That's how I felt. One of the things that I was told, like matter of fact, and I'll never forget this, it's like, well, you knew you were in a flood area. Yes, I knew. And I bought flood insurance. And this is one of the things one of the reasons why I've been vocal about this, because I felt like I was blamed, for living there. Aside from the lack of empathy, aside from the lack of preparedness, aside from the lack of acknowledging faults for the lack of infrastructure, I thought, in addition to that, you want to make me feel like I'm responsible for this? Or blaming nature for it? And that's one thing that I'm, make sure that it's known. This was not nature's fault. This definitely was not my fault. They gave us a list, the city gave us a list of houses that were comparable, which I didn't feel like they were. And I thought, in addition to this, then we have to look at taxes. And I thought, so we found something in Buda. We live up on Windy Hill. We deal with the wind now. But, yeah, I couldn't afford to find something like what we have now in Austin. There's just no way. There needs to be preparedness. There needs to be communication. People need to be held accountable. That should be held accountable. That it's not forgotten. It's like I've said before. It's human nature to try to forget what we don't want to be held accountable for. But we can't change what we don't acknowledge. Mistakes were made. We have to acknowledge, people have to acknowledge those mistakes in order to move forward and make the changes necessary to prevent. And that we can't fault nature for this. This was not a tornado. This was, not, a hurricane that just came upon us. It could have been prevented. We could have been notified, and like we had in the past, and we would have moved, we would have gotten out of harm's way. So I'm hoping that, again, people are held accountable and make proper changes. And I'm hoping that there's an educational part of it, and be treated with respect and empathy in case of disasters. I mean, Austin is an amazing city with amazing resources. Use them. Make them known. It's not just okay to say, oh, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry is not going to bring that lady and her baby back. I'm sorry is not going to give me my dad's pictures. It'll help. But, truly acknowledge and know and do the right thing.